New Agers keep making stuff up. They just make stuff up and then call it divine. Exhibit A, light language, which if you're not aware of what that is, it's this. Let's talk about this. Hey everyone, if you're new here, I'm Andy Fellows and I make videos on cults, skepticism and making sense of life after New Age spirituality. If you're interested in a more grounded and skeptical approach to New Age spirituality, then why not subscribe to the channel and hit the bell? So, light language. So there's been some debate as to the origins of light language, whether it's like a gift from the aliens, sort of speaking broadly about aliens, which definitely exist, which we all know exist. Science has proven they exist. Whether it's come from aliens or whether it's like some innate skill or ability that every human has that we all need to somehow unlock or activate in some undisclosed, vague way, you know. What's not in dispute, apparently, is the fact that it's basically speaking in tongues. I don't think it's any great challenge to the Christian mythology that includes the idea of speaking in tongues as like the Holy Spirit moving through you, when New Agers call this a language that your soul speaks. But then, to be fair, that definition did come from someone who describes meditation as a way to tap into the soul frequency. Make of that what you will. Personally, I don't think you even need to do a few seconds of meditation to realize that that is a fluffy nothing. As far as this being of alien origin, you know, this isn't shrapnel in Roswell, is it? This is, you know, the kind of thing that, you know, you or I could make up and then just say is of alien origin, you know, like, oh, this is the way to ascend your soul's energy quotient to the light parameter and activate the light body of your soul's triple helix DNA. And you know, you don't know it didn't come from aliens, which unfortunately is the kind of thing that's being said about light language. You don't know that it didn't come from aliens, so it might have come from aliens. It's like, yeah, there's a lot of things that I definitely can't prove didn't come from aliens, but that doesn't mean that it's reasonable to live as if the thing that you're talking about did come from aliens. So a little bit more on what light language actually sounds like. This is the kind of thing that you can expect if you were to go seeking light language. To me, this is like if like speaking in tongues Christians tried weed for the first time. That's the vibe I get. This just strikes me as like manic pixie dream girl shit. Like, oh, look at me, I'm a magical forest fairy. I'm speaking the language of light. Like...
Kachula, panto, tazita, sakulo, fanto.
I don't want to shit on the people that are doing this. I tend to like to focus more on the thing that's being done and the thing that's being said, but the whole vibe around this is like, I wish Tolkien was real. It's like not enough that fantasy is beautiful make-believe, we have to act as if it's real. Like, I don't know what to do with this. When I see stuff like this, I don't know what to, it makes me cringe sweat. It's like you meet someone at like a party and they're like, come with me, and they take you into the forest and they're stroking all the trees and kissing the weird little tree vaginas, and they come sit with me, and they sit you in a clearing and they're sparkling in the way that's Twilight. They sit you in the clearing and then they're like, Kalamalu. What do you do with that? Like, can you imagine if you were in a situation where that was actually happening? What are you supposed to do with that? Oh, by the way, you should definitely follow me on Instagram. I'm making these like little sort of slide things over there, which is similar to the kind of content that I'm sharing here on the channel, but they're in more sort of bite-sized chunks. So if you like what I'm talking about here and you want a bit more from me on that, then Instagram's a place to go. And selfies have been requested, and occasionally I've been putting them up, like this one. This is the quality of selfie you're gonna get. As I was researching this, I couldn't help but think of the language that they speak in Star Wars. Is it Huttese or something? But it's just that kind of like, listen to this and tell me it's different. Listen to this and tell me it's different. In a search for a clear answer on how to speak light language, I've come up short, unfortunately. The search led me to like a baffling treasure trove of poetic nonsense, ultimately accumulating in just do it, just try, just speak in light language, just connect, align with your heart's frequency and allow the energy to come through you while you talk absolute fucking nonsense. Like, that was the closest thing I got to instructions instructions was like channel your heart, or, you know, vibrate at the frequency of the divine love of your heart, which is, I mean, that's not very instructive as far as instructions go. It's not very clear how one would go about doing that. Just connect and resonate at the frequency of the divine love of your heart. Okay, sure, yeah, easy, sorted. Thanks for that. Brilliant, fantastic. Why elaborate? Why bother elaborating? I think that's clear enough. So one of the things that I did come across while I was researching this was someone who has a channel called Soulvana. I think that's in relation to Nirvana, but like for your soul, which is great. So she was talking about how she, at her brother's wedding, booked like a slot in the, I guess in like the schedule of the wedding, to give the gift of light language to her brother at the wedding. And so you can just imagine, like, you know, just imagine there's the whole sort of party and everything that's going on after the ceremony and stuff. And she's like, excuse me. She gets up on the microphone and she wants to sing, right? It becomes apparent that this is not just a light language transmission of the speaking caliber. This is a song. And so she stands there, excuse me, I'd like to deliver a light language transmission for my dear brother. And then she breaks this one out. What this reminds me of is, if you've seen The Crown, Diana giving a video of herself singing and dancing to Charles as a gift. Like, here's a gift of looking at me being wonderful. It's like, apparently singing light language at your brother's wedding is a blessing and a gift for your brother. I guess they're thinking about it in terms of like playing music and being a performer and giving the gift of a performance, but it really doesn't strike me as something that we can all enjoy equally. Do you know what I mean? It really strikes me as the kind of thing that the person delivering that performance is enjoying just a little bit more than everybody else who's witnessing it, and probably for the most part wondering what the fuck they're witnessing. Also, according to the person that runs this Soulvana channel, it heals.
And that's why if you hear somebody talk light language, you are so touched. And it really heals.
Because of course it does. Of course it heals. Everything in the New Age has to heal, otherwise it doesn't have a place in the New Age. Everything in the New Age has to heal you, because you're in some way broken, even though you're perfect in your divine soul incarnation of spirit or whatever. Literally, New Agers will just be like, you're the perfect embodiment of source consciousness and you're the universe experiencing itself subjectively, and in the next breath tell you that you need to heal in some way. And then they'll tell you that, you know, you're not your thoughts and you're not your body, they're an expression of your true nature, but those thoughts and that body is actually stopping you being able to access the true divine love of your soul or whatever. And it's like, okay, sure, right, fantastic. Thank you for clearing that one up for me. I was wondering why I was struggling. Oh, by the way, if you're enjoying this video as we're going through it, please hit the like button. I think, though, when you break this down, if you consider the fact that this is raw emotion being transmitted, like, just imagine you're standing in front of someone now who's giving you the light language, right? They're doing a light language transmission. They're downloading the light language into the mouth and throwing it at you in verbal nuggets, right? I amaze myself with some of the bullshit I come out with sometimes. The way they talk about a lot of this stuff is that, you know, in order to do light language, you have to connect with, like, effectively the raw emotion of what you want to transmit. So usually it's love, so you get this kind of a vibe. And so you're standing in front of someone that's giving you that kind of like tenderness and like raw love or whatever, and then they start speaking to you in no known language. So you've got no way to understand really what they're saying. You have no capacity to interpret what they're saying, but also you have nothing to object to in what they're saying. It's really just a bamboozling experience. It's really just confusing, sort of baffling experience. And oftentimes with like that musical component as well, they're singing something that's sort of tender and gentle and often quite sickly sweet, let's be fair. Imagine you've never witnessed this before and you're experiencing this now for the first time, right? I think it's conceivable that would bypass your rational faculties a little bit. It will confuse you, and the only thing that you'll really be able to understand about that kind of an experience is through empathy, the emotion that the person is attempting to convey to you in one way or another. Unless they are singing in a sickly sweet way, and unless you're anything like me, in which case you'll probably just sort of wince at the thought of staring at someone going, "Oe chumala hoe," for very long, you know, painful. And I hate to say it, but I feel like this kind of thing, it just makes someone a walking stereotype. Do you know what I mean? Like whenever you think of like your weird aunt with the crystals, right? That's the kind of behavior you get, right? So like I could understand why someone might have an experience with someone who's doing like a light language transmission and come away feeling healed in some way, because again, it's that emotional connection, it's that raw empathy, right? You might come away feeling positive after that, or in some way better than you did before, because, you know, let's never underestimate the power of human connection and human interaction. But as far as the healing qualities or the alien origins of light language, I think there's very little to be said of it. And in the way of energy, I think this stuff kind of falls short in the way that all this stuff usually does. You know, you can usually explain it without a supernatural component. That doesn't mean that it's useless, but it certainly means that you don't need a supernatural component to explain it. And I think for a lot of people who are involved in New Age stuff, there is that desire for it to have a supernatural component, the desire for it to be larger than life in some way, because that's what makes it more special, you know. And I get that, I think, but obviously this kind of stuff, it just gets really bizarre really fucking quickly. I've actually had someone do some light language for me, like a light language transmission for me in the past, which was an interesting experience. And that's actually something that, as much as I'd like to include it in this video, I feel like the video is going to run a bit long anyway. So as ever with stuff like this, there's always stuff I can't include, like be it due to time constraints or because like YouTube doesn't like you talking about certain things on the platform. So what I've started doing is I've started creating these little like audio companion things which go along with at least one of the videos that I'm uploading in the week. So I've started making them and I've put them up on my Patreon. So if you want a bit more content from me, or you want to hear my story in this case, so where I sort of came across light language for the first time and the experience of having someone do a light language at me, then that's the place to find it. I've set up a few different perks over there. The audio companion's just one of them. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more content from me on the kind of stuff that you see here on the channel, or, you know, you just want to generally support the channel, then the best way to do that is through Patreon. Check out the link in the description below. I'm Andy Fellows. I'm here pretty much every Thursday and Sunday. If you enjoyed the video today, please remember to subscribe to the channel and hit the little bell thing. Otherwise, please be kind and ask good questions, and I'll see you in the next one.